Attention! Robotech has returned.
Thanks to the interference of that tenacious Micronian fighter, Rico, Konda, and Braun were unable to bring back the recordings of the unusual ceremony they witnessed being broadcast from the battle fortress. Braun insists what they saw must be some kind of psychological weapon being developed by the Micronians, since it caused him to feel things while viewing the transmissions. Rico feels differently, and their bickering leads to fighting. BREETAI puts a stop to that with a firm word, rebuking all three of them, with Konda denying he did anything wrong. As they persist in bungling their report, a fed-up BREETAI dismisses them all. EXEDORE suggests that further investigation is warranted, but is alarmed at the effect that viewing this strange ritual on the battle fortress has had on the three Zentraedi spies. Another reconnaissance may be in order, and EXEDORE postulates that it may be time to capture a Micronian for further study up close. BREETAI agrees, feeling that it's past time he moved to more aggressive tactics. On the SDF-1, a battle-weary crew listen intently as they're able to finally receive a transmission from Earth Defense Headquarters. The good news is the Zentraedi have not been attacking Earth, seemingly far more interested in following the SDF-1. The bad news quickly follows, as Command issues orders to Captain Gloval and his ship to continue to act as a decoy and not, repeat, not return to Earth.
So they expect us to be sitting ducks out here. Oh, forgive me, sir, I'm sorry.
Don't apologize, I understand your feelings. What they do need is to buy time for them.
Lisa wonders why their signals to Earth are no longer being jammed. Gloval knows it means the Zentraedi are trying to be clever and intercept these transmissions to headquarters. Such realizations make him nervous what else they may be plotting. We find Ben, Max, and Rick working another day on the job as Vermilion Squad repels a battalion of battle pods once again. Ben takes some damage he isn't concerned over, but Rick radios the bridge for permission for his squad to head back for repairs.
Bridge control, this is Lieutenant Hunter. Vermilion team is heading back now.
SDF-1 calling Veritech Group Leader Hunter. You are not cleared to return to base yet.
One of my veritechs has taken a direct hit.
If the plane is not damaged too severely, Lieutenant, I would prefer that your group remain in position.
Sir, the damage is really nothing to worry about.
I'll be the judge of that. I'm the leader, and I'm responsible for the safety of my men. I'm bringing the squadron in.
Are you telling me that you're deliberately disobeying instructions?
Commander Hayes, you seem to have forgotten what you learned at the Academy. There's no atmosphere here in space, and the smallest damage could prove to be fatal. And while you might feel perfectly safe gambling with our lives when you're safe and sound at your control desk, I'm not about to put my men in that kind of jeopardy.
Where do you come off giving me a lecture, Lieutenant Hunter?
That's enough, Commander Hayes. This time Lieutenant Hunter just happens to be right. Now hear this, Vermilion Squadron. You will return to SDF-1 base right away. Lieutenant Hunter, you talk too much.
It seems Rick's leadership capabilities are increasing as he looks after the safety of his men on his squad, even being brave enough to stand up to the dreaded Lisa Hayes. Roy's mediation helps soften the blow to Lisa's stature of authority, though, and Vermilion team heads home. In the run-up to the execution of EXEDORE's latest plan to capture Zor's battle fortress, Chiron has been ordered to prepare firing a warning shot across the bow of the ship with his own ship's primary gun. As Chiron explains the orders to his second-in-command, Grell, he admits his intentions to augment his role in this operation. After all, it wouldn't be terribly hard to turn a warning shot into a bullseye. Such accidents happen all the time. With their fighters undergoing repairs, Rick takes the downtime to meet Minmei by the fountain in the park, the same special spot they met before his very first mission. But unlike that memorable evening, it seems this meetup is about to turn into more of an interrogation.
I think I'm being stood up.
Well, hello there, Lieutenant Hunter.
Huh?
Who are you waiting for?
Well,
Do you have a date?
Well, maybe.
Been waiting long?
No, I've only been here a couple of minutes.
Sure, mm-hmm.
Is she really beautiful?
You bet. Beautiful isn't the word.
Oh, well, is she any prettier than we are?
Huh? It wouldn't be polite to make comparisons.
I guess she's beautiful then.
Well, in that case, I'm not included.
Oh, yes, you are. We unattached girls gotta stick together.
Paging Lieutenant Rick Hunter. Paging Lieutenant Rick Hunter.
It's funny to see Sammy, Vanessa, and Kim take such interest in the lonely and available-looking Rick. And they can't help but snoop as the telephone bot finds its target. It only takes a moment for Sammy and Kim to recognize the girl on the other end of the line as Miss Macross herself. And it seems she's flaking out on poor old Rick, too busy with her crazy new schedule since winning the contest. Kim and Sammy spare Rick the embarrassment of them eavesdropping while he's possibly being dumped. But Vanessa is too caught up in the drama of the moment until the others snap her out of it. Rick finds himself frustrated that as Minmei's career is taking off, he's being left in the dust. As her insistent music teacher pushes her to get back to it, Minmei bids a quick goodbye to Rick, ending the call. As a disappointed Rick leans back on the bench, he has no choice but to accept defeat on this strategic operation to hang out with Minmei for the day. The Zentraedi's latest operation, though, is just getting underway. As several ships take up position, BREETAI gives the order for them to fire at a nearby asteroid between them and the SDF-1. Lisa detects the attack as more shots are fired at them, as well as rocky debris. Gloval orders them to bring up the pinpoint barrier system to help repel the incoming assault as bulkheads seal within the ship, bracing for impact. Again and again, volleys are launched at the battle fortress, grazing the surface of it, still causing stress fractures and tremors both outside the ship and within, affecting the city inside and its citizens. Chiron sees his chance and takes it, moving into position, ready to put the Micronians in their place once and for all. BREETAI and EXEDORE see his ship change position and become alarmed, just as Chiron fires a mighty blast at the control tower of the SDF-1. The full power of the pinpoint barrier protects the tower from the very worst of the destructive beam, but the sensor and radar arrays shatter under its force. The beam is able to penetrate through the control tower, killing several people, but the superdimensional fortress remains intact. Although everyone inside seems to be more than a little shaken.
Is it over yet?
Just as the crew recover, large pieces of rocky debris smash against the ship, damaging it further. Wreckage from this assault float all around the SDF-1, and damage reports flood into the bridge. Lisa spots an errant veritech out on patrol, broken from the attack. Its pilot dead. She remembers the words of Rick about the severe vulnerability of all the pilots outside the safety of the fortress. Claudia notices how disturbed this realization makes Lisa feel. Gloval asks for a situation report on the movements of the Zentraedi fleet, but Vanessa can't get one to come up. There's no reading at all from the radar, which means...
It is fortunate they were able to survive.
And it is with no thanks to Chiron. He really went too far this time.
It's all right. It turned out for the best because now our next step will be easier.
Well, you may be right.
However, I am curious. Will they continue to fight without radar?
It was time to execute the next step of their operation. The Zentraedi deploys several battle pods and Cyclops recon ships to encircle the battle fortress, knowing they can easily outmaneuver the now blind Micronians. It was only a matter of time before they would send out their own reconnaissance ships, and that's when the Zentraedi would strike and capture an enemy Micronian. On the bridge, Sammy is receiving a transmission, but not from Earth. Its origin is from some other mysterious source. Gloval has her put it on the speakers.
In the name of the Zentraedi forces, I order you to surrender. The last attack on your ship was a warning of what we will do. You cannot escape. If you wish to live, you must surrender at once.
It's a transmission from the aliens.
We repeat, in the name of the Zentraedi forces, I order you to surrender. The last attack was only a warning.
Stop
Surrender at once.
The message loops over and over until Gloval orders it ceased, taking this threat as an insult, yet also seeing it as a challenge from the Zentraedi to dare and make a move now. Being blind, they needed intel on their fleet movements, and Gloval needed his best officer to take point on such an important task. As the order is given, Lisa begins to protest, but relents and accepts the mission. Lisa and her pilot man the Cat's Eye vessel, with a Veritech fighter squadron assigned to cover her, and it just so happens to be Vermilion Squad, commanded by Rick Hunter.
Ironic, isn't it, Commander, that I was chosen to fly cover for you?
It really is, but I think we can handle it.
Based on their tone with each other, I always suspected that Lisa had indeed hand-picked Rick and his squad to be her escort, simply to show him how brave she could be after his little chastising spat earlier. Rick was sure this assignment was the price he paid for talking back. Not far away, a Cyclops unit observes the Vermilion Squad and its Cat's Eye, and BREETAI sees his enemy has taken the bait. It was now time to trap them. He moves his fleet nearer to the position of this small squadron, and they begin to harrow Rick's team. Despite Ben itching for a fight, Rick reminds him their mission is to protect the Cat's Eye. Max warns about incoming pods, and Lisa, irritated by Rick's over-insistence to watch over her, declares she'll be fine and orders Vermilion Squad to pursue. Lisa's pilot tries to find a safer position as Max single-handedly destroys the Cyclops pod of the Zentraedi. Max's instincts are top-notch, and they're telling him that whatever they have planned, it seems the bad guys are really playing for keeps this time. Rick agrees and orders his team to pull back to Lisa's position. Lisa and her pilot attempt to maneuver through the debris field, but find themselves overtaken by BREETAI's personal flagship. In their effort to evade it, the Cat's Eye turns into a nearby asteroid. Lisa narrowly avoids being crushed by it, but her pilot is not so lucky. Seeing the Micronian recon plane take damage, EXEDORE orders the immediate capture of its survivors. Rick and his team desperately look for Lisa as they hail the Cat's Eye, just as they spot BREETAI's ship and the Cat's Eye being taken into it. There's no way they can let this happen as they rush to its rescue. BREETAI and EXEDORE begin the long walk down the corridor to the hangar where the Micronian captive will soon be arriving. Lisa comes to and sees Rick and Vermilion team fighting their way to her, but she orders them to retreat and save themselves, just as she's taken inside the flagship. Rick watches as she's taken into the indomitable gigantic ship, bigger than even the SDF-1. He heard Lisa's order and knows he has a choice to make here, to follow her orders or to break them.
All right, Ben, let's try to hit them from below.
Lisa can't help but be happy to see Rick and his team, but must also be concerned for these brave men under her command. Ben and Max provide cover fire for Rick as the Zentraedi foot soldiers run from the lethal gunfire of the Micronian veritechs. Max admits to Rick that he and Ben are nearly out of ammo, though.
I'm running low too, sir.
Lieutenant Hunter, do you realize you're disobeying my orders?
This is no time for protocol, Commander. Watch out.
Micronians have broken into the lower deck holding area and are attempting to rescue the captives.
Your Excellency, wait for me!
BREETAI is tired of these Micronians slipping through his fingers and refuses to let them get away this time. Just as Rick is offering Lisa a ride, BREETAI arrives in the hangar, jumping from the catwalk to knock Rick's veritech over. He stands up and absolutely towers over the tiny Lisa. But Max is on it though, holding BREETAI in place, calling for Lisa to run for it. He can't believe the strength of this Zentraedi as he feels the joints of his battloid creak under the stress. Max tells Ben to fire his 2 remaining missiles at the ceiling, blowing a hole in the bulkhead. Even as the hangar decompresses into space, Max blasts off in a controlled burn, lifting BREETAI up towards the vacuum of space. Rick barely snags Lisa before she follows too closely, and Max is able to fling BREETAI out into space, just before the emergency bulkhead reseals the hole. But it seems BREETAI isn't done yet.
Lieutenant, what do we do now?
Try to burn through the airlock with your lasers, but you'll have to do it quickly. They'll return any second now. All right, Lieutenant, move it.
Yes, sir, ma'am.
Do you think I could get down now? You can admire me later.
Oh, yeah, sure. There you go.
Looks like our group leader gets a little weak in the knees around Commander Hayes.
I noticed.
It looks like the chemistry between Rick and Lisa is more than just mutual animosity, if Ben and Max are picking up on it. Outside, BREETAI, without a mecha or even a spacesuit of any kind, moves along the hull of his own ship, far from being defeated and close to another entrance. Max and Ben attempt to carry out Lisa's plan, using the lasers of their battloids to try to cut through the hull. Being out of any other munitions, it's their last resort. Rick stands guard with his empty gun pod held like a cudgel, as Ben and Max trade spots to let their lasers cool down. As Ben takes position, he is completely unaware of the uninvited guest above, waiting to drop in. BREETAI stands ready with nothing more than a giant steel pipe and his own sheer Zentraedi grit. With a mighty war cry, he launches himself below, crushing Ben's battloid from the top down, ready to show the other Micronians what a true warrior is made of.